This channel is dedicated to dark screen ASMR to optimize bedtime listening by decreasing light while you relax or sleep. Today's dark video is reading from the book Dictionary of Dreams, published by Geddes and Grosset, I believe. Introduction. Consciousness and unconsciousness. Although it is not known exactly why it is that we dream, in psychoanalysis it has long been recognized that the unconscious has an important role to play. However, this in itself is not terribly helpful, as scientists have never been entirely certain as to where consciousness ends and unconsciousness begins. Indeed, the two frequently overlap, and there can really be no clear distinction between them. We may perhaps accept that it is to be conscious, that to be conscious means to be awake, aware of our surroundings, and in control of our actions. But this does not take into account the fact that much goes on around us in our waking state, of which we are generally not aware, and only aware of on a less conscious level. For example, we may be walking along a busy street, deep in thought, and be completely unaware of the noise of the traffic all around us, until something like the blast of a car horn or the sound of a collision alerts us to it. Furthermore, we do not need to concentrate all the time on moving our legs in order that we might keep on walking, nor do we generally need to concentrate hard on walking in a straight line in order that we might not veer off course and into the road. Similarly, while we are sleeping or are ostensibly unconscious, our brains are obviously extremely active, although we are usually unaware of much of this activity, such as the continuing control over the function of our major organs. Dreams are a manifestation of this activity and are often extremely vivid. Therefore, it would seem that the brain is capable of organizing our consciousness into several levels at all times. The physiological manifestation of the unconscious is also a gray area. However, it is known that a structure situated in the brainstem, known as the reticular formation, acts as an activator for other parts of the brain and may play a part in defining the unconscious. All sensory pathways are linked to the reticular activating system, or RAS, so that when a sense receptor is stimulated, this also triggers the reticular system, awakening the brain so that it is fully able to respond to messages from the senses. Sleep. Sleep is essential for the repair of the body and for cell regeneration. People deprived of sleep for lengthy periods generally become quite unwell. However, it is a complicated process, which has been the subject of much research. Broadly speaking, the average night's sleep consists of 4 or 5 distinct stages. During stage 1, the sleeper begins to relax and will drift in and out of a zoning sleep from which he or she is easily awakened. In stage 2, the individual is asleep but can still be easily roused by minor disturbances. By stage 3, a state of deep relaxation is reached and it becomes very difficult to wake the sleeper. During this stage, the eyes often move from side to side. In stage 4, 80% of the daily output of growth hormone is released, which helps in the process of repairing body tissues. The The sleeper then proceeds to reverse through the stages, but instead of waking completely after returning to stage 1, he or she will enter a different stage, stage 5, known as REM, rapid eye movement sleep. It is during this phase that the most dreaming occurs. The whole cycle from stages 1 to 4 and back again takes around 90 to 100 minutes. During the average night's sleep, the cycle will repeat itself 4 or 5 times. REM sleep. REM sleep takes its name from the characteristic eye movements that take place during this stage. Sleepers who are awakened during this phase will report that they have been dreaming. Research has shown that during REM sleep, the body's major muscle groups seem to be paralyzed. This is thought to occur in order to prevent injury or uncontrolled movement during sleep. The length of REM sleep increases with each cycle. Therefore, the longest period of REM sleep and dreaming occurs in the last third of the night. A sleeper whose REM is disrupted will automatically try to increase the time spent in REM sleep the next night to compensate. This may indicate that REM sleep and therefore dreaming is essential for well-being. Some dreaming does take place without REM sleep, but it tends to be much less vivid and somewhat mundane. A sleeper who is awake during one of these dreams may report that he or she has been thinking rather than dreaming. Getting the most from sleep. In order to dream well, it is advisable to follow a few simple rules. Decide your optimum amount of sleep and stick to it as much as possible. Most adults need 6.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep nightly, but some can get by on as little as 5 hours. A few will need as much as 10 hours. Experiment with varying lengths of sleep. When you have decided how much you need, based on assessment of work performance, levels of irritability, and plain tiredness through the day, you should aim to be in bed roughly half an hour before the period of sleep commences. What you have consumed in the hours preceding sleep will directly affect the nature and quality of your dreams. If your digestion is working overtime while you sleep, your dreams may be affected. It is wise, therefore, to avoid eating wind-producing foods such as raw vegetables or foods that have high fat content immediately before you go to bed. Some stimulants such as caffeine and alcohol affect the time it takes to fall asleep and the quality of sleep thereafter. Similarly, sleeping tablets seem to suppress REM sleep, which is so vital to our well-being. Do as much as possible to eliminate noise and discomfort in the immediate sleeping environment. The immediate environment can affect your dreams. Many people will have experienced dreaming that the telephone is ringing or a fire alarm is sounding, only to later find out that they have slept through the noise of the alarm, or they may have dreamt of being restrained only to wake up and find their sheets have become so entangled that they can hardly move. Try to adopt a relaxed routine in the hour before bed. If the brain is overactive as the head hits the pillow, it will take some time to drift off into sleep, into deep, untroubled sleep. Record your dreams. It is always a good idea to keep a notebook right beside the bed if you want to record your dreams. In this way, you can make a note of your impressions the moment you wake up, before the intrusions of the day cloud and distort your memory. When people report that they have not dreamt, it is not necessarily the case. It may be that events immediately upon waking, perhaps the alarm clock, the children careering all around, and the realization that they might be late for work, etc., were so intrusive that memories of dreams were pushed out of their minds. For this reason, try if at all possible to train yourself to wake early before the alarm clock. I don't want to do that. Before the alarm clock and before household noises disturb you. You will be more likely to be able to recall your dreams in a peaceful environment. A few pages have been provided at the back of this book on which you can begin to record your dreams. Interpreting dreams. Our dreams can often be fantastic, terrifying, and hard to comprehend because they do not seem to be contained by the rules of our everyday lives. Some of the most bizarre and disturbing distortions of reality are commonly experienced by dreamers, and the interpretation of these distortions has been given much attention by some eminent psychologists and researchers. Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939, the father of psychoanalysis, believed that the unconscious uses symbols in dreams that represent real emotions and feelings. Alfred Adler, 1870 to 1937, originally a follower of Freud, believed that dreams reflect the individual's lifelong drive for power and success. Carl Gustav Jung, 1875 to 1961, was convinced that the symbolism contained in dreams reflected a wider collective unconsciousness and was common to all, regardless of race or culture. There can be little doubt that dreams do have symbolic significance, and certain archetypal symbols are now quite generally accepted in the field of psychoanalysis. Applying knowledge to these archetypal symbols should do much to enlighten the individual as to the meaning of his or her dreams. Nevertheless, it is important to remember that dreams are very personal, and it is only in the knowledge of the dreamer's own mood and feelings, and also his or her own circumstances, past and present, that dreams become truly meaningful. The A to Z, page 31, will help you to process the interpretation if you bear this in mind. The next section is on dream symbolism. Folklore and dream symbolism, the language of symbols, the interpretation of dream symbols. I do plan to go over all of it. The origins of symbolism, traditional folklore, and changing society. Gypsy interpreters. Christian symbolism. The dove, the cross, the fish. When dreams go by contrary. The knowledge of the medieval gypsy. Morality. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Artemidorus Daldianus. I don't know what that is. Artemidorus Daldianus is the more generally cited of ancient honoromantics. Well, nailed it. Okay, so then it goes on to the A to Z for the symbols and dreams. I do plan to work my way through that. At the back there's an appendix, and it says, for references on dream interpretation. Alfred Adler, 1870 1870 to 1937. That one I can't pronounce. The Artemidorus Daldianus, circa 120 AD. Henry Havelock Ellis, 1859 to 1939. Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939. Carl Gustav Jung, 1875 to 1961. Ronald David Lang, 1927 to 1989. And Raphael, circa 1800. Whoops. Alright. Well, that's it for that reading today. I definitely do want to go through all those headings that I listed off, and then I do intend to start doing an alphabetized reading of all of the I guess explanations, what the symbols mean. I do plan to go through them, keeping in mind that this is one book that shows one side, and it is very individual and very personal, and the same thing to one person can mean a completely different thing to another. So, don't take anything I say in this as fact. I think very few things are actually fact. Anyway, hopefully I wasn't too breathy, and hopefully you can't hear the chair move every time I had to adjust, because that would suck. I don't want to restart this video. With all that said, thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you found it pleasing and effective. Please feel free to like or follow if you enjoyed our time together. And just like every time before this, goodbye for now.